Welcome to Aunty K's, your favorite radical queer indigenous auntie, bringing you tarot every day. Hello and welcome to Aunty K's Tarot. So today we're going to look at decks that have been new on my table in the last few months and how they're working out for me. How I'm using them, how I've experienced them. The Back Pocket Oracle is one of my creations, and I have been looking for things to correct in it, getting a feel for it before I think about releasing it. Image-wise, I think I am happy with all the images. I'm really enjoying reading it. It definitely works for some types of readings better than others. It's really good for like what's going on right now. It's really good for looking at job issues. In romance, it's really good if there's something specific that we're looking for. But it's less great for more general, are we going to make it? How are we going to work out? Or there's other decks that I read that with better. So that is my experience. But it's really good at saying this is an issue, and this is what is underlying this issue. This comes up in so many readings, and it is, you know, incredibly useful. This one as well. This has been a card that says a lot. It's been really useful to talk about various issues in a relationship, and getting at those really human tendencies, and thought processes. It's really good at that. Okay. I think I've talked about the African Tazama enough to say that you know that I'm all really loving it and using it. My fingers healed. It's back on my table. And I have like a nice new setup with shelves I'm really enjoying. The Gay Marseille. So I enjoyed using this. It's a really fun deck. The imagery is fun. It is beautiful at the same time, and it has a quirky art that, you know, fits in with that Marseille style, but I think is more attractive. I have used it with all kinds of clients. Most of my clients do not see the cards I'm using, because it's mostly not on video. So it ends up mostly being for me. The faces are expressive, and that is really useful. What is harder is sometimes cards are really political and saying something really great that I enjoy as commentary in a deck, but isn't always useful in readings. Justice comes up a lot for me in romance readings and job readings. And the political commentary on this justice, it does make it hard for me, because it doesn't necessarily fit. Frequently, it doesn't fit with what I'm trying to get at. And so that makes the deck harder to use sometimes. I get distracted by things that are going on that aren't relevant because of what I'm reading. And so, I don't know. And it might be mostly the Justice card I struggle with in that. I'm trying to think. That's one that definitely stood out for me. Anyhow. The Pope in like a fun interpretation, I struggle. Yeah. I think it's cards like this that have something politically positive to say that I struggle with. So it isn't currently on my table. It is being classed into like my collection decks. Decks I'm collection decks in my my spreadsheets of my deck collection. So that's what's going on with this deck. I did get the 5-cent tarot from my wish list. And maybe I need to make notes about why something stays on my wish list or doesn't. But I'm not unhappy about this deck. But we'll talk about it. Okay. So this is a deck on my wish list. It was definitely on my wish list for aesthetic. The colors of it is a linen. It's really interesting linen. It's different than other linens. I think the texture is completely vertical instead of hashing. It has this antique feel, antique carnival, Victorian kind of feel to it, without any of the issues I would have with any of those things if you tried to make that a deck. Because there's no people in it. I super appreciate that the guidebook really briefly and quickly tells me why this animal is here. I appreciate that. I can't see the keywords without my glasses, with the exception of the title ones. That's frustrating. But it's maybe something I just have to learn to live with. I guess the problem with my glasses are where my phone sits when I'm doing online calls. And about half of them are text. And I need them for close up. But where my phone sits, I actually need my glasses off. And I'm doing text to speech, but I'm reading what's coming in. And so then I can't use a deck where I need glasses to see it. I wanted keywords on an animal deck. That worked with me. The line work in the background makes it hard for my eyes to focus. And that is probably an age issue. I turn 49 in 4 or 5 weeks, somewhere in between there. In a month, in a bit. And these lines make it hard for me to focus on the image. But I have done some readings with it. I've put it in the back row and pulled it out for fun every now and then. It is probably going in like a deck that I'm collecting, even if it's not ideal for me in reading with it. But yeah, I shuffled it to get reversals into it. And I think the reversed keywords are great. It'd be great for personal readings because then I'm definitely wearing my glasses. But yes, I've I really like it. If there ever comes a version without these lines in the background and maybe slightly larger keywords, I would totally get it. Maybe I wouldn't need the keywords to be larger if it weren't for the lines in the background. Like if I hold it away, I can almost focus on the words. So yeah. I think that stayed on my table for like a week or two. I foresee pulling it out. It's not impossible to work with, but it does present struggles for me, difficulties for me. I got a magnifying glass for this purpose, and I should just remember to put it. Sometimes it's on the back of my shelf in a container. Sometimes it's up front, but actually, if like I do this and use a magnifying glass, it becomes really quite interesting, because I really like how the florals are done on this. They are expressive. The florals in the corners are quite expressive. And I found when I do use the magnifying glass, it gives me an interesting view and perspective in the cards. Next time I pull it on the table, I'm going to try and remember to do that. Came with some extra it came with some extra major cards. I used some, not all. This just arrived and gifted from Online Tarot Community to me yesterday, along with the guidebook and another book, a cool book about playing with tarot. So this was a deck on my wish list, and it got gifted to me. And some people said to me, "Are you sure you're going to like it?" It's like, I don't know. But I do like it. There is diversity in the aliens, and some of them are human, and some of the characters are not. There are changes in the titles. I actually found them really, the changes in the core cards were really intuitive. Like, it totally made sense. That wasn't an issue. The suit names are changed. They make sense. It wasn't an issue. Probably the one you had to think about the most was the comets, but they've done a really good job of making it clear that they're Cups cards. It's fun. I read with it a number of times yesterday, and I thought it was fun. Wasn't the easiest to shuffle, also not the worst. It's a bit clunky. They're probably because it's like matte. It was fun to read with, and I'm going to give the guidebook a try. But I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I found the faces really, and the bodies really expressive. And that was definitely really useful for me. But I don't, like, I've used it one night at work, so I this is the impressions of a fresh experience, a new experience that's not been used day after day yet, and that will tell me a lot about it. But it's fun. I wanted a fun space deck that wasn't all white, and you know, so now I'm making a Star Wars tarot. But it is a fun deck, and I anticipated it being fun. I think the expressiveness of the people is going to make this a deck that I enjoy using. Sometimes when faces are too when they don't have enough expression, it's hard to read. And maybe could you learn to put more expression in faces? I do myself. But they're very expressive, and I really, yeah, that's what I have to say about it. It works for me. The art style really works for me. The color palette really works for me. And I haven't had to read the guidebook, even though it's not a clone deck. Like I can see its relationship to the cards, and I appreciate that. So that is how that is going. What is currently on my table is this deck, Tarot in Space, is the Back Pocket Oracle, the Brown Witch Lenny, Rustic Roots, the Food Tarot, the Marseille Prendre Vie, the African Tazama Tarot, and the Black and Gold Lenormand. So those are the decks currently on my table as of yesterday.